Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Kallas. Speaking of sports, we're at WestchesterCountyPost.com. I encourage you to go to sports and just click on the various links there. There's lots of good stuff. There's also entertainment and dining. There's a good section on wellness. Today, we're here to talk about the Colin Kaepernick tryout, as it were. Everybody knows by now what was supposed to happen. He was going to go to the Atlanta Falcons training site. 24 teams were going to show allegedly, and at the last second or an hour before, because of some arguments between Kaepernick and his agent and the NFL, it was moved 60 miles to a high school field in Georgia. And the main argument seemed to be over who was going to videotape it. The NFL took the position only they should tape it and nobody else could tape it. Media would not be allowed. Kaepernick was like, correctly, I think, let's be transparent. I got my guys to tape it if the media wants to tape it. And in fact, the reports were it was moved 60 miles away, and the media, a few reporters were actually live streaming it, so anybody could see it. There were also fans there around the high school field who were able to watch it as well. So this was kind of a tit-for-tat thing. The NFL made a gigantic mistake, maybe intentionally, by doing the workout on a Saturday. Everybody who knows anything about the NFL knows virtually every team plays on Sunday. So the GM, the head coach, the main guys were not going to be able to go to this tryout on a Saturday. And in fact, Kaepernick and his agents asked for them to move it to a Tuesday. The NFL said absolutely not. They gave Kaepernick 2 hours to accept or reject it, I think hoping he would reject it. He did not. But at the last second, because of allegedly some arguments about liability waivers and the whole filming thing, which again strikes me as ridiculous, let anybody who wants to film it, film it. And the NFL took the position and they made a statement, well, this was like a private tryout and only the NFL can tape it, and that's how we do our private tryouts. And of course, that's a load of baloney, because this was the most incredible, weird, controversial private tryout in the history of the NFL. So certainly, if you're Kaepernick and you don't trust the NFL, you want your guys to videotape it as well. And so that led them to move it 60 miles away. Interestingly, 7 teams did show up. So what happened to the other 17 or 18 teams? They couldn't drive 60 miles. So it just seems the whole thing is a little weird. I think the NFL was hoping he wouldn't show or he would cancel at the last minute. And then they could say, look, we offered this guy something and he chose not to do it. But instead, Kaepernick, I thought, turned the tables on them a little. I don't know if he hurt himself or not, because maybe those 7 teams, including the Kansas City Chiefs, maybe they want Colin Kaepernick to back up the MVP, Pat Mahomes, who's been hurt a couple of times this year, for example. Maybe he'll get signed. It seems unlikely. I think we would have heard something by now. But a few other things. Not only did they just give him 2 hours, take it or leave it, not only did they say it had to be on a Saturday, we couldn't move it to a Tuesday, and they also said, no, you can't do it 2 weeks from now. You do it this Saturday or not at all. So that kind of take it or leave it thing, Kaepernick knew he had to take it. Again, if he walked away, he would have been skewered even by some people who like Kaepernick, never mind all the people who don't like him. Don't forget, this all started with him kneeling during the national anthem, a form of protest that's been around for decades. It's not just Colin Kaepernick. But Eric Reed, who also kneeled with him eventually, he's got a job now with the Carolina Panthers. Kaepernick, now going on 3 years, still has no job. And as of today, when we are taping this, he still has no job. And that's been 4 days after the tryout. So we'll have to see what happens, but I think it was totally the NFL trying to push Kaepernick into a corner. Kaepernick made a statement afterwards, you shouldn't be afraid, you should sign me, you should give me a chance. We can't just go by the NFL rules when they wouldn't let my guys be transparent and tape the whole workout. There's a real issue. Would the NFL have edited that tryout to make him look bad? I think the answer could very well be yes. So who got what out of all of this? I don't think the NFL got any kind of victory. Everybody knows it's a joke to do a tryout on Saturday. Nobody does a tryout on Saturday unless that particular team had a bye. There's usually 4 teams that have a bye. So you're talking the overwhelming majority of the league. There's no way they could attend a Saturday workout with the top people, with the head coach, with the general manager. There's no way those guys can show up if you have a game on Sunday. Whereas again, had it been on a Tuesday, the normal day off for all NFL teams, you might have gotten 28, 30 teams. You don't know, and you'll never know, because the NFL just took a hard line. And again, to me, that's only to hurt Colin Kaepernick. So what'll come out of all this? Doesn't strike me as he's going to be signed. I hope I'm wrong. Again, the teams have to be looking at what would be the negative ramifications. If he is signed, he'll only be signed as a backup. He won't be a starter. But when you look at some of the quarterbacks that were used this year, when you look at what happened with the New York Jets, where they literally signed a guy off the street, or the guy was on his couch the week before, they put him on the practice squad, and the next day he was starting NFL games. That would be the worst example I could give. But when you look around the league, you know even today that Colin Kaepernick is better than, of all the subs, we'll just take the subs, he's probably better than 25 of them. That's 25 jobs he should have. So once again, the NFL tried to pull a fast one. I think people are saying Kaepernick pulled a fast one at the last minute. I disagree with that, because if you're not going to let transparency exist, if you're not going to let somebody else independently film the whole thing, then you're going to be stuck with the NFL's interpretation of the tryout, and that interpretation of the tryout would undoubtedly be probably as negative as you could make it. So I hope I'm wrong. I don't think this is going to lead to him signing, but at least he did get out there. He did show he can throw. The reports from scouts, for what this is worth, and it should be worth something, is that Colin Kaepernick still has elite arm strength, and he can still throw the ball the distance. And of course, he's always been an excellent athlete and an excellent runner. So that would cry out for someone to give him a chance, and we'll just have to see if that happens. This is Steve Kallas, speaking of sports. We'll see you the next time.